Hello, amazing students. Welcome to Unit 9, Day 1. Let's go get it. So, this whole unit is basically a lot of review of things that we've gone over before. But we're going to really get into the specifics of certain things. So, a lot of the times you may see that I copied and pasted from the CED. And if it's on the CED, it should be in your brain. So, let's go get it. All right. Let's start off with stratospheric ozone. So we've talked about this ozone layer in the stratosphere. Just to remind you, we have the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, ionosphere. So we're talking about that second layer. And in the stratosphere, ozone is our friend. Know that in the troposphere, ozone is our enemy. What's the chemical formula for ozone? It's going to be O3. So the ozone layer is necessary for life on Earth. Without it, we would basically die. All right, we'd get fried. It protects us specifically from UVB radiation. Okay. Now, out of let's say, it forms and disassociates at that particular level. There is a man-made gas, an anthropogenic gas, that actually destroys ozone, or basically converts it back into O3, back into O2. Okay. Um, and we're going to learn about that in the next couple of slides. But we should know that CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, destroy ozone. So we used to use a lot of chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, in refrigerants and aerosols. And due to the Montreal Protocol, we have now stopped creating these CFCs. Okay. Out of the CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, which is the most harmful gas that actually does the dissociation, that's going to be the chlorine atom. In this image over here, we have the formation of ozone. So I want you to think of O2 just floating up into the atmosphere, getting closer and closer to the sun. The sun's rays get very, very strong. They actually split O2 into O and O. That O is going to bind to an O2 molecule, forming O3. You need to be able to draw this equation, right? You should be able to write O plus O2 makes ozone. Okay. Now, it's kind of weird when you think of a hole in the ozone layer, because how can you put a hole in water, or how can you put a hole in gas? When we say hole, it's really a thinning, meaning that that O3 gas is converting back into O2, so it's not providing us that layer of protection. Once again, it's protecting us from UVB radiation. And, if we do get too much UVB radiation, we could become more susceptible to skin cancer, which is the number one most frequent cancer in the world. Okay. Now, here is the destruction of the stratospheric ozone, and this is the introduction of chlorine. So let's look at chlorine, which is coming from a CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. One of those chlorine molecules rips off that CFC, and look, it's bonding to an O3 molecule. It's going to rip one of those oxygens away. So now this is like ClO, and O2 is left. It's then going to basically come off, attract another oxygen molecule. It's then going to make O2 and then float around again to do it again. So it's just going to cause a chain reaction of completely destroying ozone. Okay. So how does it destroy ozone? It rips away one of the oxygens from O3, creating O2. It then takes that oxygen, binds it to another free floating oxygen, and floats away, and does the destruction with another O3 molecule. All right. You should be able to draw this diagram as well. All right. Cl taking Cl plus O3 is going to yield O2 and ClO. Okay. And if you wanted to go further, that ClO combined with another oxygen, creating oxygen, and then releasing itself to go somewhere else. Now, it's hard to identify a chlorofluorocarbon. I remember seeing them one time, and these are all CFCs. And am I going to ask you to remember all these chemical symbols? No. Let me show you a quick way to know that this is a CFC. You look for the chlorine and fluorine. So this has chlorine, Cl2, and fluorine. Okay. This has chlorine, and fluorine. See, this has chlorine and fluorine. Hey, this has chlorine and fluorine. This has chlorine and fluorine. Don't worry about all the other big mess. These are all CFCs, chlorine and fluorine. Chlorine and fluorine. As soon as you see chlorine and fluorine, you know it's a CFC. Now, one of the things that we have done due to the Montreal Protocol was we banned CFCs. So what do? We need a replacement. Our replacement is HFCs, all right, hydrofluorocarbons. So we get rid of the chlorine, and now we have replacements. All right, so now we don't destroy the ozone, but there is another potential problem with the HFCs. So just understand CFCs got removed to HFCs. Now we have hydrofluorocarbons or HFCs. All right, they're still used for refrigerants, propellants, and this is very important, especially now summertime's coming up here in the north. And so the air conditioners are always on. Well, why do we need these? Well, they're going to be used to keep us cool. And so refrigerators need these, freezers need these. This is basically what they're used for. All right. Now, I don't, just taking a little step further, sometimes you need to get your system charged. Let's say if you have central air, if you have an air conditioning unit in your car, if you have an air conditioning unit in your house, um, they lose their ability to keep the house cool because there's slow leaks in the refrigerant or the refrigerant degrades. So you have to replace that refrigerant, and that refrigerant would be filling it up with HFCs or approved products, no longer CFCs. All right, here is a simple image of the destruction of the ozone, and this is what you should know. You should be able to do this. Cl plus O3 yields ClO and O2. Okay. And then that ClO, we take this one from over here, boom, and we go to another O3 molecule, and it's going to be, wow, it rips this oxygen off, okay, but makes it back into O2 instead of O3. This is beautiful. It's balanced. Gorgeous. Look at it. All right. Who's most important? Chlorine in here. All right. Chlorine has a higher affinity towards one of those oxygens than the O3 has on itself. All right. Now, because of the ozone and its depletion, we have rises in skin cancer. Okay. So, how do we even know that this was existing? Well, the hole is typically over the Antarctic, Australia region. And we were just seeing frogs, dead frogs, appear all over the place. And we also noticed that skin cancer rates were also increasing. So we could think of frogs as an indicator species because they're indicating that something is wrong. Here's types of skin cancer that are associated with UVB radiation. So if you ever seen any of these things, please go to a doctor, get it checked out. All right. All right. Well, let's continue. And now we are on the greenhouse effect. All right. And we'll continue our greenhouse effect lecture tomorrow. I want you to enjoy the beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.